beyond Chapter 11, the peculiar institution, and on to Chapter 12, the age of reform. The era of reform was an effort to improve what seemed like a deteriorating American society. In this chapter, we will examine several major goals. We will look at the movements included in this age of reform. We will also look at their individual goals, what they're able to achieve, what progress is made. We will look at the different varieties of abolition, opposition to slavery, and lastly, the chapter concludes with the origins of women's rights and feminism. Like the slide before you suggest, reform was motivated primarily by morality, in this case, the Second Great Awakening. But it is also encouraged by other factors, including the market revolution and Western expansion. All of the forces were both powerful as well as transformative in the early 19th century. To combat the undesirable effects of these forces, reformers utilized a variety of tactics. For example, they gathered signatures on petitions, they delivered lectures, sometimes to less than enthusiastic crowds, and they also published a number of pamphlets. Some reformers were moderate, where others can be identified as radical. A more radical example of reform in the 19th century includes the establishment of utopian communities. About 100 reform communities were established in the decades leading up to the Civil War. Most of these alternatives sought to reorganize society. Rather than the individual basis that was emphasized by the market revolution, in other words, each man for himself, many of these communities embraced a collective organization. They also saw alternatives to conventional gender and marriage patterns. Some of these communities were celibate, whereas others embraced a spirit of free love or collectivized sexual relations. For most Americans, these utopian communities were far too radical. Most Americans, for example, prioritized economic freedom as well as marriage, conventional family, a conventional family order as the very foundation of American society. Many middle-class Americans embraced temperance. They believed that a crusade against alcohol, against the demon rum, could help to increase national morality. What they most commonly advocated was a doctrine of self-discipline and self-restraint. Temperance societies across the nation use the family truly as a powerful tool in their arsenal. As this image here suggests, consumption of alcohol led to many undesirable effects, including compromising the marital bargain, compromising the family's economy, and ultimately, destabilizing the fabric of American society. You can see here on this final image, the concluding scene, that the bank has foreclosed on this family's home and their future is anything but certain. In the early 19th century, the largest and most widely embraced reform effort was that of the common school. This was a tax-supported system. It was education that was open to all children. Reformers believed that education could, after all, it had the potential to equalize the conditions of men. If the market revolution produced and encouraged inequality, education would help to offset that. The labor movement, as a consequence, was one of the largest advocates of the common school. Of all of the causes that I've just mentioned, the common school, temperance, and utopian communities. The most controversial, and that initially attracts the least amount of attention, is abolition, right? The crusade against slavery. Western expansion, in addition to political discourse, is going to propel slavery to the front of the national agenda by the 1840s. We'll discuss abolition and its varying manifestations in the following video.